Hi, welcome to Detours Understanding Acquired Brain Injury. Um, those of you who know a nurse know that coffee is at a premium, and so are spoons to stir in sugar, coffee, everything else. So, if you're familiar with the spoons theory, you know that, well, yeah, I'm not going to use spoons. Instead, I want to talk to you about something else. Mark's mechanical pencil theory. Basically, yes, it is the spoon theory, but expanded upon. And with some realizations, I was talking to both my wife and to a friend, and I had a couple realizations. Now, the spoon theory basically goes that we have people with invisible illness, whatever it may be, whether it's traumatic brain injury, whether it's stroke, whether it's MS, whether it's migraine, whatever, is that we have a set number of units of energy, and people with chronic illness have less, and therefore it affects what happens in life and how we may spend those units, and that because we have less energy available to do things we may like. The thing is that I would argue it's a dynamic process, that it is not, unlike the spoon theory, which suggests it is fixed. I disagree. And so let me explain Mark's mechanical pencil theory. So here's how I view things. All right. First of all, let's look at how many the neurotypical person has, or how many the person without an invisible injury has. I'm going to give myself 12. And the spoon theory, or the mechanical pencil theory, unmodified, the spoon theory goes, that the ordinary person has, 12 units of energy. That's what they have to spend. Okay. And living life, just going about a regular day, you spend 1 unit of energy just getting up, doing your thing, wake up, shower, wash, all that kind of stuff. And then you commute to work. But, let's hold that there for a second, because I was thinking about something. It's like kids, got to get them dressed here, right? Okay. Now, drive to work, traffic is awful. Okay, so, all right. So, work, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, kind of ordinary day. Sucks. Drive home, rush hour, traffic sucks. Always does, doesn't it? 2 units. Dinner, 1 unit for yourself. And that's an ordinary person. Watch TV, read a book, talk to your kids, spouse, whatever. Okay, that's the spoon theory. Now here's the thing about us, people like us. You know exactly where I'm going. You've seen this. This is the spoon theory, though. Keep in mind. We, 11, 10, 9. Okay, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. Because we've got chronic illness, and the illness consumes a lot of energy just to begin with, right? Get up. Kids. Traffic. Work. Got a problem, don't we? All right, so, and the problem with that, though, is this. It's concrete and static. It does not change. Every day, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All the time, all the time, all the time. 8. That's it? Always. All right, fine. But as with anything in life, life is changing. Life is fluid. Life is flexible. Some days, I'll agree with this. Some days, though, I'm sick. When I had COVID, this is what I had. Enough to drink. I didn't have enough to see the doctor. When I've got a migraine, which I get a lot of, I got this. Enough to take my medicine. And the thing is, my migraines and things aren't always like that. Sometimes I can go to work. The problem is that really I don't have energy for breakfast or anything else. So it's a static, changing process. And then I half-ass it at work sometimes. I'll skip steps, I'll ignore things so I can get home and lay down. It's dynamic. The spoon theory suggests that all the time, it's 8. That's what I got energy for. But here's the thing too. There are some days, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Great, I'm got 8. But I'm feeling really good. I'm working with some people that I really like. I'm having a happy day. 9, 10, 11. I'm anticipating going on a vacation in 2 weeks. 12. I've been told I'm getting a raise. Hey, 13. Again, but, I'm spending the same thing. 1, and maybe traffic's light today, or maybe I found a different way. Maybe a couple of my clients don't show. 2, 3, 4. My drive home, 2. I've got this instead. It's a dynamic, changing process. And during the day, maybe I met somebody that I hadn't seen before, somebody that I like, someone that gives me energy. Extroversion and introversion we talk about. Some people give energy. Not everyone takes it, but it's part of the mindset. It's part of how you think and look at stuff. Negative attribution bias assumes that everyone takes. But that's up to you. That is a decision you make. Survivor to survivor, that's a decision for you to make. Do you assume that everyone takes? Only if you decide that everyone takes. You could pull energy too, by being positive and by thinking about the possibilities. That's up to you. I think it is important that we consider, in Mark's mechanical pencil theory, that it is a dynamic, changing process. Chronic illness, yes, is illness. But life is not illness. Life is not just about, we always like to say, I am more than my traumatic brain injury. This is where you put your money where your mouth is. Are you more than your traumatic brain injury? Are you? If you acknowledge that you could pick up energy, that you can have good days, that is how you demonstrate that you are more than your traumatic brain injury. That is where you demonstrate that you are capable of growing and changing as an individual. Mark's mechanical pencil theory argues that this is a dynamic and changing process, that all the time you give and pick up pencils as you go through your day and as you go through your week a month. Lately, yes, I have been giving a lot more pencils, I will confess. But that changes too. On weekends, things look different. And so it's a matter of budgeting what you have. True. But it isn't always bills. Sometimes you have income. And sometimes you make money on investments. You have to choose whether you are going to receive or whether you are only going to look at things as outflow. And that is a big part of mindset. I'm working on it. I do tend to have negative attribution bias quite often, but not all the time. And so I ask you, do you only see yourself as having 8 pencils all the time? Or do you see it as a dynamic, mechanical process like this, where you pick up, some days have more, some days have less? My argument is that if you wish to live a full life, you need to start thinking of this as a dynamic process. Marx's mechanical pencil theory, which argues that this is constantly changing and that there are days you will have more. And those days that you have more, you have to decide to spend some of that energy on yourself and on building relationships, building friendships, and building things that are important. The laundry can wait. The other stuff, the routine bills that you pay, that is, bills of routine tasks, can wait. And you can ask other people to help you, because this is an investment in you. And those spoons suggest just one way. I would argue with the mechanical pencils that it's more complex than that. It's always more complicated. And that is basically what's at the heart of Marx's mechanical pencils. By the way, something else that this theory allows for is an explanation as to what happens, with brain injury and development too. When you are a youngster, when you're a kid, you have a set number of pencils as it is. But when you hit like 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, you add pencils. You add brain cells. Basically, your brain becomes more sophisticated. As you're learning, growing, synaptogenesis, that kind of thing, you even go over the allotment. You may have 15, right? The thing is, when you reach your teenage years, and this is why mental illness is common when you're in years like 15, 17, 20, your brain starts to prune excess neurons that are unneeded. There's a saying in neurology, neurons that fire together, wire together. The thing is, those neurons that are excess and don't get used, your brain gets rid of. And so you have what you're going to have. The thing is, for those of us who suffer brain injury, we lose even more. And while it's true that we could get back, we get about 12,000, 15,000 variable. Really, it's not a lot. And it's not enough to replace what we lose when we're injured. And here's something else. That concussion you had when playing football, the motor vehicle accident you had, if you were assaulted, domestic violence or something, even if it was minor, transient loss of awareness, they're cumulative. You don't regenerate enough, even if you get one back. Hit your head on the dryer door a bunch of times. Stacy, that one's for you. A real hard shakeup. You fell on your butt. You slipped and went down the stairs on an icy afternoon. Even subconcussive blows. This doesn't just represent energy. This represents what happens for minor traumatic brain injuries and why things like CTE and other neurodegenerative conditions happen. you have fewer and fewer resources to use for important tasks. And I'm not just talking about hanging out with friends. I'm not just talking about doing something fun with the kids or your husband. I'm talking about thinking, working with your mind. I'm talking about going back to school. These injuries that we suffer that seem minor are as bad as that kind of major traumatic brain injury which your friend or whatever, the person you knew suffered when they lost, this much. Those smaller injuries are just as cumulative and just as damaging. It's a way to think about it, and it's an explanation for Mark's mechanical pencils and why we struggle. But it is also important to understand that when it comes to energy expenditure and those kind of changes, that it is a dynamic, changing process. And what you use the energy for and where you get it from, that's up to you. It's like spending money. What is important to you? What is necessary? What is not? Survivor to survivor? You have to decide that. By the way, don't mess with a nurse's coffee. Have a good day.